Hey, it's Molly. Welcome back to my channel as we have some exciting astrology to discuss and wow, some beautiful developments that will be coming through later in this decade. So I'm going to get into it here. I am filming this in August 2023. And we're going to discuss what has been slowly creeping up on us, slowly coming together, that perhaps we didn't realize was forming to support us in going forward. So what you're looking at here is an interesting and beautiful connection between all three outer planets. We have Pluto at 28 degrees of Capricorn retrograde, Neptune at 26 degrees of Pisces retrograde, and Uranus at 23 degrees of Taurus. And the S is for station because this chart is for August 28th, 2023, when Uranus stations retrograde. Now, 23 degrees of Taurus is the furthest that Uranus has traveled in the sign of Taurus. And as it reaches and moves into this part of the astrological wheel, it is forming a beautiful configuration with a sextile to Neptune and kind of sort of a trine to Pluto. Now, let me explain that. So you can see how Pluto is at 28 degrees, Uranus is at 23 degrees, 5 degrees of difference. And with the outer planets, we typically do an orb of about 3 degrees. The orb is smaller and tighter with the outer planets because of how slowly they move. And so this is 5 degrees apart. And yet it's shaking up something that is coming together and forming for us that will really start in 2025. And I'm going to get to that in just a minute. So with this Uranus at 23 degrees, creating a very wide trine to Pluto in the earth signs. This is almost like Uranus is bringing our attention more to what we have shifted, how the world is changing in deep, unexpected ways. Of course, we've been talking for a while about Uranus and Taurus changing the financial landscape on the planet, altering how we use money, the kind of money we use, really drastically affecting the US dollar, also showing us more in terms of currencies, what is working and the volatility. Because Uranus is the earthquakes, the disruptions, the unexpected roller coasters. Uranus and Taurus is also shaking up what is important to us in our lives. And as it moves through Taurus, it shows us what we've taken for granted and brings up questions around, is this still true for me? Is this important? Do I really want this or not? And Uranus is helping us reframe, reconsider, and really get clearer in what we want in our lives, what matters to us, what stays and what goes. And as this energy widely connects with Pluto, the great transformer, the great evolutionary cycle that we're in, which has been dismantling power structures, corporations, big businesses, which has been shaking up governments, institutions, the changes in the world at large. This Pluto is unearthing the truth. That is Pluto's frequency, is the truth frequency. And the truth is not always pretty. The truth can be dark and dirty. It's the truth of the underground, the truth of what goes on deep within the shadows and the psyche of human nature. And so Pluto has been showing us more of what is not sustainable for the long term in these Capricorn themes And the trine, this energy from Uranus, is also bringing in powerful, exciting, dynamic, evolutionary changes because of what Pluto is unearthing and revealing. This is also the cognitive dissonance. This is the fact that there's things happening that bring up our own fears and overwhelm. And what do I do with this? There can be the powerlessness with Pluto in Capricorn. I'm just one person. How am I meant to figure this out? I mean, this is very David and Goliath. And here we have Uranus that wants to remind us of our innate freedom, of our innate ability to make choices that matter to us and that show us what we can do. And it can be a very creative reconstruction. Uranus in Taurus is not a stable energy. So there's been very big fluctuations that we've all been navigating. But the good news is that it is leading somewhere, and I'll get to that in a moment. Now, with Uranus sextiling this Neptune and Uranus are only 3 degrees apart. So that is a sextile. And they will be in this sextile for a while as they both retrograde. And it's because of this sextile that I also feel this Neptune is that gateway, or also that connection to Uranus working with Pluto. And that's because of how Neptune is the focal point of this configuration. This configuration here on your screen is called a minor grand trine. It's also called a talent triangle. And it's focused here at Neptune and Pisces, which has the energy from both Pluto and Uranus. And so this Neptune in Pisces, which we've had since 2011, is really opening up humanity to our spiritual gifts, our intuition, getting out of our head, getting out of our egos, getting out of our body, getting out of the matrix programming, getting out of traditional programming. That's also what Pluto is destroying in Capricorn, because Capricorn is about traditions. This is the way it's always been. This is how you've been programmed to work in the world. And so if you connect this to the historical analysis of work, I mean, going back to, let's say, the beginning of the industrial age and factory work, and you work your 9 to 5 and you get your benefits, your 401k, and you retire in 30 years. Well, that's ending. That's no longer how we are really designed to show up with our skill set in the world. That doesn't mean all these jobs are ending, but look at a majority of them. They are, right? Everything that we've been taught around work is changing, which affects our money. And I feel this too as Uranus being the side hustle energy, the gigs, the gig economy, the perhaps even having multiple ways of making money that's very unconventional, that's out of the traditional. This energy means that's the way to go. Keep following that path. Keep following that direction. And this relates more deeply to your own creation ability, to create what you want in your life, to not be dependent on old paradigms, outdated systems that are leaving, that Neptune is removing and dissolving, which is very powerful here. Neptune and Pisces, removing what we no longer need as we move forward into new experiences on the planet. I know you can tell I'm excited because my voice starts picking up, and then I try to just take a breath and calm myself down. But this is a big deal. This is big astrology. And what I feel around this Neptune and Pisces is showing us that we're so much more than the physical. How is the physical gonna adapt to these new energies that we're trusting and moving into as we take ourselves out of those old paradigms? We see, the deep faults and problems with hierarchy, with patriarchy, with class systems, the middle class shrinking in the US, all the disruptions happening around the planet that are affecting billions of people. And this Neptune, again, getting back to how the energies are focused on Neptune, is that there is a beautiful process underway. But in order to get there, we need to be more spiritually mature. We need to be trusting our intuition, trusting our energy, really applying your spiritual growth. And I feel this energy as opening us up to more of the crown chakra messages, helping us be more intuitive humans, really bringing in the intuitive guidance and the energetics we feel that the physical world, which is ruled by the earth signs, aren't always in connection with. So this beautiful energy is integrating our spiritual gifts, our intuition, what we're feeling into the physical world as it evolves, shifts, and changes abruptly, reminding us to trust ourselves, trust even what you've been developing from other lifetimes, to call that in. I'm also feeling like this is where we have to be comfortable letting go. Letting go of the old world, letting go of old dreams so that new dreams can come out and come forward, removing our expectations of what we thought this life would be, because part of the energy, especially in this century, is about new dreams, new ways of experiencing this planet, but that starts with new ways of experiencing your own energy. Understanding more of who you are outside of traditional programming, outside of what you were taught or told, perhaps by, grandparents or parents, or the programming that was valid during previous experiences. But this is an evolutionary shift. These are the outermost planets that affect the collective consciousness. So here we are, really understanding that there will be a purpose. That's also the earth sign. There is a purpose to all of this madness and chaos. And sometimes the best thing to do is to go to your soul, to your higher self, to your intuition. Keep trusting, right? Keep trusting as the energy on the planet is dramatically transformed, removed. And this is also part of the Neptune in Pisces retrograde, is the removal of what is ending, what is completing. And honestly, this comes with grief. You could be grieving your previous self, your previous expectations, what you thought your life would be. You could be grieving the dreams that were not actualized. And I say this with deep compassion, because we built or had expectations tied to a certain reality of this planet. And that's really changing, because we are here to change it. We are here to be the ones who spiritually evolve the energy on the planet, which affects these physical systems. So going back to Neptune being at the point of this minor grand trine, you could also see how the energy from Neptune is going into these physical realities. So Neptune in Pisces is requiring us to really bring in our energetic understandings into what is transpiring with the deep crashes, if you will, on the planet, the dismantling, the death. Pluto is death. Death of a consciousness, death of a way of life, understanding that some things are permanently over, and there is sadness and grief with that. And Neptune affecting this Uranus at 23 at 23 of Taurus is really, I'm just getting the image of looking at your own expectations of what you thought your life would be and allowing some things to leave for the short term because it will be worth it for the long term. And with the lightning quickness of Uranus, that's where things end. They're over, right? The door's shut. You leave a place on Friday and you come back on Monday and it's not there. I mean, malls, stores, brick and mortar, outdated businesses, how that affects people's sense of security, paychecks, salary, the necessity of those things to live the life that we thought we would live. And yet we're moving into something that is designed to support more of your individual talents and gifts. And not everybody, some people need more security than that. And I guess that's another way to look at this, and how Uranus is removing a sense of security that maybe you held for a certain amount of time. And then we're back to this Neptune of just trusting that there is always a divine reason for it, even if we don't know it in the moment. And because these are the outer planets, they are a slower moving process. It's years of change unfolding. Years. Decades. And then how we can continue to stabilize ourselves internally during these monumental changes. So again, this energy is creeping in here. So again, this is August 2023. Now, I'm going to show you something that begins 2 years later in August 2025. So obviously I just changed the charts on you. The same talent triangle, minor, grand trine. Look at the beautiful harmony. Uranus at 1 degree of Gemini, exactly sextiling. Neptune at 1 degree Aries, here's Saturn, 0 degrees Aries. Here's Pluto, 1 degrees of Aquarius. This is beautiful, rare, powerful astrology that begins in August 2025, that is showing us the new Renaissance beginning. And it still focuses on Neptune with this Saturn here. I'm going to have a separate video for you on this. And in fact, all of this I'm going to deconstruct and talk about in more detail, because this is a big deal. This energy begins in 2025. And we're going to see some really fast-moving dynamic energies, because now each of these planets are in masculine signs. Now, the previous energy I showed you was feminine. The feminine energies of creation, trust, flow. Now we're entering into masculine creation, leadership, being in your very powerful, authentic vibration, and these energies picking up. Uranus in Gemini, fast-moving information, communications. This is where stories come out. This is where the energy is affecting our daily life, Gemini, your daily world. And this energy being in a direct trine with the great transformer, Pluto in Aquarius, also at 1 degree. Aquarius being ruled by Uranus. These big changes that are happening on the planet with social media, technology, innovation, things happening off planet, everything occurring around us in space, everything that is being developed, showing up in our personal lives, reprogramming, renovating, showing us new ways of living, new ways of life. And look how, again, it's focused or anchored on this Neptune at 1 degree of Aries, conjunct Saturn, which is 3D reality, our 3D world. What new beginnings are going to serve us? Now, Neptune in Aries is going to actually bring up more questions than answers. Is this the beginning we want? Is this where I want to go? And here is Saturn, who's going to make some decisions for us and make some things clear, show us how to do something, this new start, this Renaissance energy birthing. And this is a time when we're going to see even more big changes on this planet. We haven't been here before. We haven't been here before. In fact, this Uranus trining Pluto hasn't happened since the 1920s. So 100 years ago, Uranus was trining Pluto. Now they're going to make a trine starting 2025 into 2029. We're going to be in a very different experiences in a very different place by the end of this decade. Again, perhaps even too much information. Now, I feel like what also is coming up here is the last time that this Uranus and Pluto interacted was 2012 to 2015 when they had a square. When Pluto was in Capricorn, Uranus was in Aries, they had multiple squares. Now they're in a flowing trine of information, ideas, projects, relationships, connections. The air signs are really going to be ramping up. There's going to be a lot more going on, but I feel like there's also going to be a lot of stories coming out that have been hidden. Information that's been suppressed. It's not going to be hidden for long. It's going to be coming out. Two sides of the story with Gemini. Lots of questions. And this is going to be affecting our daily lives even more, which is Gemini. Bringing up a lot of things that we're going to need to think about, and the energy moving so fast, it could be hard at times to get a grasp on the facts, on the truth, on the story. Pluto will show that to us as he moves into Aquarius and stays in Aquarius until 2044. And again, both energies pointing to this Neptune conjunct Saturn in Aries. And really having clarity on what those new starts look like for you and for the world at large. I feel like this actually, so this comes after Pisces, and with both Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, especially 2024, 2025, those would be endings, losses, grieving. And then as they move into Aries, it's a reminder that the sun rises again. A new day is dawning, a new era is dawning, new beginnings are meant to happen now. But there's also at the very beginning of Aries, 0 and 1 degrees, it's like the need to take a beat. Like I just need a minute to get myself clear, strong, and steady before going forward. I need to come into the power of my energy in order to make the choices and move ahead in the ways that are called to me. So this is very supportive, beautiful energy. Again, it starts in the middle of 2025. And I'm beginning a new series for you here on YouTube discussing these. So you'll see a number of videos coming out as I break this down. Because each part of this holds significance because they are outer planets affecting the collective consciousness, the new dreams that are emerging, that, by the way, it couldn't have happened sooner. Because astrology shows us timing, especially with Saturn here, the timekeeper. Some things they aren't going to be able to start until this energy is in play. And I hope that gives you some peace of mind, some trust, some understanding of, okay, I can't force it. In fact, if you try to force it, maybe you're forcing something too soon and it falls apart. And then this is the energy of the connections, of things being created to move ahead. And because it's called a talent triangle, new talents on the planet, new experiences of our daily lives, new ways of even, I'm feeling like tribal energy, like soul family, making some powerful connections with people of similar frequency, like mind. And that could be very, very good for even not feeling alone, or after all these energies have dismantled on the planet, it's like, okay, now it's time to come together again with more people. It's meeting new friends. But it's local friends. It's like, knowing people in your neighborhood. New neighborhoods forming, new communities. So this is where we're going, and it's beautiful. And if you have planets or points in the early degrees of fire signs Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, you have planets or points in the early degrees of air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, this is taking you to new levels. Again, we haven't been here before. And I feel like there's going to be some things that become clearer about why the old was dismantled and had to be taken apart, even though it could have been hard at times. This is about moving into some new energies that require newness in you as well. So, big stuff happening, beautiful developments, lovely synergy, and there's going to be some rapid developments here, and I'll be talking about that more. So, I'll be releasing more videos here for you discussing each of these more in depth, but I hope this gives you an understanding of the bigger picture, of what's possible within you, of what's possible within the collective consciousness on this planet, and that this could very well be one of the reasons why you are here on the planet in this lifetime. It's to be a part of where we're going. Thank you so much for your likes, comments, subscribes. Thanks for sharing this with others who would also benefit from the information. And I'll see you back here really soon as we continue discussing this energy and our planetary evolution.